Hello guys, what is going on? I believe you're doing fine. So the classes is going to start in the next 2-3 minutes, and for those who are currently watching, you can leave a comment in the comment section, and for those who will be joining us later, leave a comment as well as to what you have learned from the what you learned from it. As to what you learned from it. So let us know in the comment section where you're listening from and why you're doing this, even if you're watching this replay. So the classes will start in a bit, so just listen and get involved. Okay, so I'm going to stay for another 5 minutes um, for us to really get things working. So I'm going to stay for another 5 minutes. If you can hear me in the comment section, please let me know in the comment section if you can hear me clearly before I begin to show my face. If you can hear me clearly, kindly leave a message in the comment section. It would really do well to for me to know if you can hear me properly, so I can start. Okay, guys. I believe everyone is doing fine, and I want to say a big thank you to you for coming live. So I'll be showing my face now. I'll be showing my face now. So hello, guys. I hope you're doing fine. Yeah, I believe you guys are doing fine, and I know I must have met you doing well. Sorry, just need to adjust a couple of stuffs. Okay, so my name is Peter Kimbeghi. For those who are just getting to watch me or see me live, and I'm a footwear designer, and I'm a newbie web developer. Yeah. Okay, so I just got into the professional web development field about 4 months ago, and even though I've had a couple of experiences with the way the web works, web development in general, and all that, I've had a few experiences with it, so um, it has been awesome. However, I just took it professionally this year. As you can, for those that don't know me before, and for those that know me, you know that I'm a professional shoemaker. I've been a shoemaker for about 4 years, but from 2020, I got to. If you can hear me, please leave a message in the comment section. Let me know if you can hear me properly, and just introduce yourself in the comment section. So I want to acknowledge those who are watching the live video. Thank you so much. Okay, so it has been an amazing experience since 2020, and I started coding professionally, like I said, 4 months ago, and it has been awesome. And like I said in the videos I posted on social media, on Facebook and on my WhatsApp, I spoke about the fact that I'm doing this as a newbie, and I don't see myself as someone who has known so much, and I see myself as someone who is just coming into the tech space and is looking at really getting to um, gets his hands on a lot of things. So, as you can see at the back, that is my sewing machine, to show you that I'm really into shoemaking. But for a couple of reasons, I I decided to try a new um, path as a career, and probably in a couple of years or in a couple of say months, come back and push shoemaking, and the two skills are working hand in hand. Okay, that being said, today's class is not going to be too long. It's going to be about 45 minutes, and I think we have done about 20 minutes already. So in less than 30 minutes I'll be done. I just want to do an introduction and just show you a couple of stuffs, and we are going to move. So I'm going to go into my slides right now and go straight into the meat of the discussion. I do not want to waste your time. I just want to go straight into what we are here to do. Okay, so like I said, this is a live coding session with me, and I'm going to be showing you, for those who are just coming into the tech or the web development space, I'm going to be showing you the things you need to get your hands on, and I'm going to be showing you a lot of examples and a lot of templates that you can actually start working with, and the codes, the languages, the different languages, and what you should be doing now that you're starting. So those are the things I'm going to be telling you. Probably the next time, I plan to do these live sections twice in a week, sorry, twice in a month. So hopefully this is the first one. Hopefully the next one will be coming up in say 2 weeks. So is my voice loud enough? So far I see about two people watching now, but please drop a comment if you are watching this live. Drop a comment. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to start with my slides now. Okay, so okay, so I'll be doing it from my slide, and as you can see, it is live, and everything that is here is live. So like I said, I might be checking some documentations and a lot of other stuffs to get the best results for you and for everyone out there. Okay, so um, you must have known or heard about coding, what coding is and what it is, and all that. And I'm going to be explaining these things not in the nitty gritty, but I'm going to be explaining them randomly so that for you can understand what you're doing and how you can probably maneuver. Okay, so we'll be talking about web programming. Now, web programming is more like the beginning of programming as it is, and um, the reason why I tell a lot of people these days, since I got to know about this thing in 2020, I began to tell people about the importance of sorry, excuse me, the importance of understanding a language, and the importance of learning how to code, because the world is going tech, the future is technology. In fact, the future is already now, like from every pointers, you know that the future is now, and tech is taking or has taken over almost everything. I do not need to say that again and again. This is something you already know. Okay, so it is essential and it is very, very good that you are getting to want to learn what it is to program and how the web works and all that. It is very, very nice that you're getting to start and you want to learn. Okay, so first of all, web programming is a conglomerate of a lot of things, and I'm going to be talking about the background of web programming. That's what is web programming. Web programming is basically a way of creating websites and web apps. So it's more like it is attached to the web, unlike a mobile app that you use without the web. For a web program, it has to run on the web, and before it can run on the web, it has to be on a browser. For example, Gmail, that's the Gmail, that's when you want to check your Gmail and all that. It is a web program because you can only access it until except you go online to actually go to the gmail.google.com. I hope you understand. If you're watching this, please leave a comment in the comment section. I really want to know I really want to be sure that people are actually listening or hearing me. I want to be sure. I want to be really, really sure, so that I won't just be talking and nobody can hear what I'm saying. Okay, so that being said, I'm expecting your comments, please. I'm expecting your comments. Okay, that being said, let's move to the slide. Okay, I'm there already. So, um, web programming. Now, for you to really, really understand, or to understand the basic structure of the web, the basic structure of the web is HTML and CSS. Every application, I mean, every mobile application, every web application, everything you see on the web has the structure from HTML and CSS. So, in other words, for you to understand the background of what it is and the experience that comes with coding, it's a very advisable thing to start with HTML and CSS. You get, so because they form the building block of the web. Everything you're seeing here, that's in on this screen now, is a result of HTML and CSS as the foundation of it. So without HTML and CSS, we cannot have what we have here, that's on this screen. Just look at my cursor. We can't have what we have here. So HTML and CSS is the building block of every website, of every web application, in fact of every mobile application. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So we are going to move quickly talk about HTML and CSS today, and from there we'll move in the next classes, and I'm also going to record short videos that you can always come back to watch. Okay, so when we are dealing with web programming, we need to understand a program called Git. Now you would observe that a lot of times when you are browsing on your phone, um, WhatsApp on your phone, or WhatsApp or Facebook or whatever application you're using, you observe that they sometimes come to send you a notification that you need to upgrade or update your application because they have introduced new features, they have introduced new features to the app, or they have upgraded the security, or they have done something. Actually, that is as a result of the power of Git. Now, what is Git? Git is a version control system. Now, you may not really need to understand this in depth now because you're just starting, because everything I'm saying now based on Git might not really make sense because you haven't really understood what it is to actually do coding. Okay, so I'm going to really skip it. We do not actually need to understand this now, but just know that Git is a version control application or system. So Python is also a very important language every web programmer should understand, and the reason why it is so is because it works with artificial intelligence, and you can use it to make queries on databases and all that. You can also use JavaScript, but Python is specifically unique and very good when it comes to artificial intelligence, working with big data and all that. So as a web programmer, I think Python is a good tool language after you must have understood HTML and CSS. Okay, so Python is a go-to now that you're beginning your web programming career or journey, or you just want to learn it as a give me that word, as a hobby. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is Django. Now Django is an extension of Python. In other words, when we want to create web applications with Python, you can use the extension Django. I really don't know much about it for now, but it is something I am going to start learning in a couple of weeks, even though I've started, but I'm putting my focus on JavaScript most especially, and Python now. So I might not really have so much to say, but I know that Django is an extension of Python that is used to build web applications. Like I said, as time goes on, as I begin to update my knowledge on these topics, I will be dropping videos back to back to explain my updated knowledge on this, because I am a newbie in this field, but I'm doing this as a means to get myself up to date and communicate with you. And this is why this videos is this live stream is specifically to a beginner. Yeah, so it is specifically to a beginner. I'm targeting the beginners. So and if you are an expert and just want to see what I'm talking about, that's fine. Okay, so we'll move to the next one. Now, SQL models and migrations. Now SQL is used to receive requests. That's probably the get and post request from HTML, to get data. So when you go on a website and you want to fill a form and you put your name, your address and all that, we're going to see all that in the HTML very soon. You put your name, your address and your phone number, you put all those details. When you click on the submit button, SQL is what makes it possible using JavaScript or Python or whichever programming language you're using. It is SQL that gets that data, and it is the programming language that stores the data. So it is through the use of SQL that we are able to store data using Python to get this data on a website, or JavaScript, or any programming language you're using as a web app or web programmer. So SQL is just basically used to collate data and manipulate data, question data, and all that. So that is the use of SQL. So as a web programmer, this is what you're going to be using. So I spoke about HTML and CSS. I spoke about Python. I spoke about Git, a version control system, and I have spoken about JavaScript, and now I'm talking about SQL. I think the next one will be Python and JavaScript. So JavaScript is one of the most, I love JavaScript so much because it has a lot of functionalities, and it is very easy to learn, and it is more like the building it is more like the programming language that you use to seal your skill, that's your beginner skill as a web programmer. Because as a web programmer, and you are expected at least to understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript on an average level. If you understand these three things on an average level, then you are a web programmer. It doesn't matter what anybody says, as long as you can build basic websites, you can build basic applications, you can build just basic web apps, man, and you can collect data, you can manipulate data, you can do these basic things with these three languages, just with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So as understanding these three languages, you are good to go. You're good to go to begin to apply for jobs and all that. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be releasing videos specifically on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because these are the fields and these are the areas where I'm majorly focused on now. Okay, so we are going to move to HTML now, and I'm going to talk about HTML. Okay, so we're going to talk about user interfaces and all that. So testing and CID, you don't need all this for now. Scalability, yeah, you don't need all this. So let's go to the HTML and CSS. Now HTML is like I said, is the background and the major. I think this my screen is kind of too large. Let me reduce it. Okay, so I'm using OBS as my streaming platform, so just bear with me. I hope I'm going to, let me reduce here. I think it's better this way. Yes. Okay, so HTML and CSS, I said like I said, they are the building block of the web. So I'm going to be using an online text editor. We're going to talk about a text editor soon. I'm going to be using CodePen. I'm going to be using CodePen for this. Okay, so I'm going to be using CodePen. So just move along with me, and I believe you're going to love this. And as well, I'm going to drop separate videos on HTML and CSS that I've recorded calmly and more detailed. But this is just an introduction, so bear with me. Okay, so HTML and CSS. HTML is the building block of the website, while CSS is used to style it. But let's go into HTML fully now. So HTML is short for hypertext markup language. It is the base and the core structure of every website. In other words, without HTML and CSS, there is no website. JavaScript alone cannot create a website. Python alone cannot create a website. Whatever language alone cannot do or create a website. The base of it is HTML and CSS. Just like you cannot be 50 years if you are not 10 years old. The same way it is with HTML. You cannot implement JavaScript if there is no HTML. So HTML, like I said, is short for hypertext markup language. It is short for hypertext markup language. Okay, sorry, I want to Okay, so HTML is short for hypertext markup language. Like I said, it is the building block of the web. Without it, there is no website, there is no web app, there is no mobile app, because all mobile apps you see, they were first built on a website using the HTML and CSS, JavaScript, and all those documentations and languages, then transferred, converted to an executable file, which we're going to check in a few probably months. You get converted to an executable file. Then after they are converted to an executable file, then they are moved to whatever platform you want to take it to, for you to download as an application that you can install on your mobile phone and all that. So HTML is the building block of every website. So for you to write any program at all, you need a text editor. Now I'm going to log in. You need a text editor. Now a text editor, just like you use your Microsoft Word, just like you use your okay, let me log in with my Git. Just like you use your Microsoft Word, you use your PowerPoint and all that, a text editor is also used to write. These are my former projects that I did here, but I'm going to just, yeah, online live coding class, okay. So a text editor is basically the tool that is used to write any program at all. So if you want to write a Python program, you need a text editor to do that. If you want to write an HTML file, you need a text editor. CSS, you need a text editor. So a text editor, just like you have your Microsoft Word to write letters and send messages and all that, you also need a text editor to write a program. Now if I go back to my slide, HTML, when you're writing HTML, it comes with some tags. Now I am supposed to explain this in a more defined way, which I think I should do instead of using my slide. Let me just go to the text editor straight away. Okay, so, and I'm going to be switching between the text editors and all that. So when you're dealing with HTML, okay, I'm trying to check. Okay, so we have about, okay, so I'm trying to check the live section on YouTube, see how many people are watching live. And okay, so with HTML, we basically build the structure of a website. In other words, from the navigation, that's the heading, to the sections. For example, when you have a basic website, let me check. Let's go to w3schools.com. So if we go to w3schools.com, now if you look at this website, I just want to use this to explain. This website has a header. Now in this header there is navbar, we have a navbar, and we have a logo. Now this website, it's a structure, and it was HTML that gave them the ability to structure this website this way. Now I will explain this. Now in the HTML file, you have some things that are called elements. Now we have elements. Now what are elements? Elements are basically things that should I call them things? Okay, elements are tags that gives meaning to a word. Actually, when you're on an HTML, or when you are trying to type HTML, if you observe that what I wrote here is showing here, so this is more like the browser, because it's an online text editor. Once you type whatever you want to type, it is going to show up here. Now An element is just a building, a section of a web page. Just like when you're writing your letter, you have the introduction, you have the header, you have um, the main body of the letter, you have the closing remark, then you have the whatever should be there. Yeah. So when you're writing a letter, you have that structure. Same thing with HTML. When you're writing HTML, there has to be a structure that you will follow. Now, in this structure that you're going to be following, there are a lot of rules that has to be followed. Now, these rules that has to be followed, these rules are called a lot of different names, but we're going to be starting with a few ones now. Now, if you go back to this website, like I said, this website is divided into into different sections. Now, in the HTML file, in an HTML file, there are also sections. Now, I'm going to use my slide now to explain it. Now, if you look at this file, this is the beginning of an HTML file. If you're going to be writing an HTML file, this is going to be the structure. Just like when you have your letter and there is a structure, you have your introduction, you have your address. If it's a formal letter, you have your receiver's address, you have your introduction, you have the title, you have all that. Same thing with the HTML file. So this is the basic structure of an HTML file that you should always follow when you are trying to do anything, when you're trying to write any program at all. Now, in the HTML file, this one, that's the one painted in yellow, the one painted differently, is the doc type. Now, this doc type is trying to tell us the kind of HTML file we are running. Now, there are before now, like I spoke about Git or Git, the version control system. Now, HTML had different versions. Currently, HTML is in version 5, and there are different ways to write the type of version you'll be using to write your HTML file. But this is the syntax that is used to write the version for HTML5. Now, when you are writing an HTML file, when you are writing an HTML, there is a opening tag and a closing tag. I'm going to do that here now. So there is an opening tag and a closing tag. Now, you open a tag using the arrow, and you close it using the close. Then you open it again, then you close it using this tag. Now, this is an open tag. Now, if you look at this file very well, let me go back to my code editor pen. Now, let me zoom out. Now, if you look at this, the HTML file started with this and it is ending with this. Now, if you go back to my slide, you see that the HTML file is starting with this, while the other AD is closing with this. So they call this the open tag and the closing tag. Now, in an HTML file, there is an header and a body. If you observe that in the HTML file also, we have something here called lang is equal to English, EN. It is basically stating the language that the HTML file will be written in. So if it was going to be written in French, you put the short form of French and all that. And this is actually called an attribute. So what is an attribute? An attribute is meant to give additional functions to an element or tag. That is what an attribute is meant to do. It is meant to give additional function. So when you have an HTML file, you can add an attribute to it. You can add a class. You can add, if you have an HTML tag rather, you can add an attribute which can be a class, a div. It can be any type of attributes that you want to give to it. But there are different types of attributes which we'll be checking and looking at in subsequent videos or live streams. So in the structure of the HTML file, we have a header and we have a body. Now, just like a human being, the structure of a human being, you have your header, you have your head, and you have your body. Same goes with an HTML file. We have the header file and the header section and the body. Now, the header takes in the title, it takes in a lot of other stuff like the metadata, it takes in the linking of pages, it takes in a lot of stuff that will not be visible in the body of the HTML file, in the HTML document. So it means to say that header files are hidden files, or the header is a hidden part of an HTML document that basically is more like the back end of an HTML document or file. So I'm going to go into my text editor now to write a basic HTML file to let me reduce this 14 unsaved changes. Let me reload it, please. Okay, I believe you're following. Can if you're watching this, please leave a comment. I want to know who is watching me. Please, would you do that for me? I would really appreciate if you do that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm going to be writing a basic HTML file. So we have our HTML, that's the opening tag. I hope you're with your. Then we have the closing tag, HTML. Have the closing tag. Now in the opening, in the HTML file, like I said, I did not specify the doc type I'm going to be using because this is more like a text, an online text editor, so you don't really need that. Okay, so I'm going to be specifying the type now. The two major functions, the two major parts of the header of the document, which will be the head. So we're going to use the curly bracket, not the curly bracket, the arrow bracket. We'll put the head. Okay, then we close the tag. We close the tag. Okay, so we're also going to have the opening tag of the body, because the body is what will take all the visible content in our HTML file. And settings, let me put it on auto save. I think that will be better. Auto save. Oh, okay, so let me just go straight. I don't want to waste your time. Okay, so we have the two main parts of, that's this, the header, and then we have the body. Now the HTML file, let me close this. The HTML file, that's the tag that shows that we have an HTML file, is this. This is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. Okay, and then in the header we're going to have a title, title, which we're going to the title, and then we have a closing tag. If you observe that I am always putting this /arrow, the / into my closing tag, and that is the way the that is the way